This presentation is about complex numbers. Why complex numbers? We're going to focus this for now because in our first chapter we're going to be looking at functions of complex variables. Once we talk of complex variables, basically we are involving what you call complex numbers. Remember, a complex number is an entity of the form z equals to x plus jy, where our x is a real number and also y is a real number. In this case, z, we consider that z is a complex number. Z is a complex number and we denote complex numbers by capital letter C written in this way. Remember, in our previous math courses we dealt with real functions. In this case we're talking about functions of the form y equals to f of x, and f of x could have an expression, for example, something like x squared plus 1. Now in this course, this is going to change slightly. We're going to have, maybe let's say, a function omega which is equals to f of z, and we can have a kind of function of almost the same structure like z squared plus 1. So obviously these functions, because of the difference in the nature of x and z, they basically represent different things. Remember, in real functions would basically represent x squared plus 1 as a kind of a parabola which intercepts the y-axis at 1, and we've got a picture like that. Now in terms of complex numbers, that is not so easy to visualize, but first of all let's revise some elements of complex numbers and some identities, then we'll see the complex functions when we begin the chapter. Now what we need to know, basically, like I've said, shown before, is the structure of a complex number. Z equals to x plus jy, and remember, x is called the real part. We write it this way, re of z, and the y is called the imaginary part, m of, now the imaginary part of z. That's how we read that. And the unit j is basically an imaginary unit. That's why in some books you'll find that j represented by I for imaginary unit. And what is important about this is that you must know that j squared or I squared is equals to minus 1. If you remember your mathematics 1 very well, you might remember that we arrived at complex numbers with the motivation of the fact that in real numbers we didn't have a solution to equations like x squared plus 1 equals to 0. But now, from what we have just said, that j squared is equal to minus 1, and then it results that this equation is now, after the introduction to complex numbers, this equation has got a solution, basically, which is going to be x. In this case, we can say x squared is equals to minus 1, and in this case x is going to be equals to the square root of minus 1 plus, let's say, plus or minus square root of minus 1. But with the idea above here that minus 1 is j squared, then we know that this is basically plus or minus j. That is very important fact to remember and to be very, very fluent in using it wherever you are. So the other important thing is to know how to operate with complex numbers, like you multiply, you add, division, and so on. So let's start with addition. Just recapping addition. Let's say we've got two complex numbers, z1 equals to 3 plus 4j, and z2 equals to minus 2 plus 3j. Now, I think if you look at these numbers carefully, you will see that these numbers, basically, complex numbers, they've got two parts, the real part and the imaginary part. So in adding these numbers, basically, we've got to add the corresponding parts. Let's say we say z plus z1 plus z2, it's basically going to be 3 plus 4j plus minus 2 plus 3j. In this case, you can see that these two parts here are real parts, and these two parts there are imaginary part. Then j is just a label to tell you that this is imaginary part. So in this case here, we have to add corresponding parts. Now saying 3 plus minus 2, which will give us 1. I think here you need to remember your basic operations with signs. Then nextly we have got to have 4 plus 3, and then we've got that as 7, and then we label that is the imaginary part. I hope that is very clear. Coming to multiplication, we'll basically write as z1 multiplied by z2. Now, in this case, you must basically go back to school and remember the multiplication of A plus B, C plus D, what we used to call removing of brackets or expanding the binomial. In this case, what's going to happen, we'll basically multiply the same way we multiply this. And the only thing we need to remember is to remember that j squared or I squared is equal to minus 1. So in that case, if we do that multiplication now, we'll write 3 plus 4j brackets minus 2 plus 3j. So the multiplication here is the usual multiplication we did with binomials at school or with maths 1. So we multiply here 3 times minus 2, we'll get the minus 2 times 3. I'll work it slowly so that you can remember those, for those who don't remember. And then we're going to have minus 2 times 4j, they say plus minus 2 times 4j. Then nextly we're going to have 3j times 3, so say plus 3 times 3j. And then lastly we're going to have 3j times 4j, so plus 4j multiplied by 3j. Now at that point, you've got to be very, very careful with your signs. Now here, you know the product is going to be minus 6, and here the product is going to be minus 8, labeled imaginary, and there is going to be 9 plus 9, also labeled imaginary. Then here, remember, the multiplication does not worry about the order. So here what we have, we've got plus 4 times 3 times j times j. But j times j is what we call j squared. So this is giving us minus 1. So it's going to have minus 1 here multiplied by 12, which is going to give us minus 12. So in the final analysis, we've got minus 6 minus 8j plus 9j minus 12. Then the last step now is to simplify like terms and have our final answer as minus 18 plus j. And that is basically the result of multiplication of a complex number. Then the next thing is going to be division. Remember, I'm just keeping these things so you might remember them so that you can proceed very well with your calculations in our course. All right, I'm not going to use very complicated numbers to do this. Let's say now Z1 is equals to 3 plus 4j, and the Z2 is equal to minus 2 plus 3j, as we had before. So in the case of division, let's say we're dividing Z1 divided by Z2. So basically we're going to have 3 plus 4j over minus 2 plus 3j. In this case, there's another concept we need to remember from Maths 1 about complex numbers. And basically this is linked to kind of similar to what we had with the integers. Remember with the integers we had, let's say we've got a number line. If we've got 1 here, let's say 2, 3 and 0 there, we knew exactly that symmetrically on the other side of 0 we had minus 1, and for 2 we had a minus 2. But complex numbers, remember, are represented on a complex plane, whereby this is x and this is y. So if we've got a number somewhere here, we can talk of a number, let's say about 3 plus 4j. Now, in this case, across, in a similar way, across, reflecting that number across the x-axis, would have a number here whose real part is still 3. And I hope you can see that if we talk of symmetry, going 4 upwards in j, this side we could go minus 4 to minus 4. So this is minus 4j. So if this number was called z, this number is normally called z bar, meaning the conjugate of z. So that is what we need when you are going to divide numbers. So let's say we've got a division like we've got here. In this case, we're going to need the conjugate of this denominator. In this case, if you look, you saw what happened here. Conjugate from a number to the conjugate, what changes basically the sign before the imaginary part. There it was 4, and then it became minus 4. So when you come here and divide, you basically need the conjugate here. You don't worry about the sign of the real part, you worry about the sign of the imaginary part. Then the conjugate is going to be minus 2 minus 3. So you multiply here by minus 2 minus 3, and basically you are multiplying by 1, which is formed of minus 2 minus 3 over minus 2 minus 3, which is a 1. Then from there you will basically carry on your multiplication as usual. In this case, what you did in the previous example, you do in the numerator, and in the denominator you do exactly the same. But in the denominator you should see that now you have got a very important thing, something there which you know from school, what you call difference of two squares. Basically what we have got in the denominator is a minus b multiplied by a plus b. Just try to check that you've got that. And then we know that this is a squared minus b squared as difference of 2 squares. But then when you're squaring b, in this case, b is going to be 3j. You must remember that j squared is equals to minus 1. So in this case, the denominator is going to basically remain as 4. Now, if you square 3, you're going to get 9. If you square j, you're going to get minus 1. Then you're going to have minus 9. So it's going to be minus 9 there. Then in the numerator, I'm going to now do it a bit fast. You're going to have 2 times that, which is going to be 6, and minus 4j times 3j is going to give me plus 12. There I'm going to give 18. Then I'm going to have 18 for that one. Then I'm going to have 3 times minus 3 is minus 9, and then I'm going to have minus 2 times 8, so I'm going to have minus 9, and the minus 2 times 4 is going to have minus 8, which is going to be in all minus 17, but that will be minus 17 j. I hope I did it correctly. You can check that calculation. And then what you have here, you've got a denominator of minus 9, and there is the numerator as a complex number, which you can now write as in rectangular form as 18 over minus 5 plus 17 over 5, because the 2 negative sign there, j. So that is your result of your division of those 2 numbers. And then the other operation, Pascal operation, we can talk of is subtraction. But subtraction and addition, they're basically done in a similar fashion. I think this is about the basics on operation with complex numbers. The last thing which I would like to also address on the issue of complex numbers is what we call the modulus of a complex number, written this way, which is the absolute value or the modulus. The modulus of a complex number basically is the distance from the origin to the position of the complex number, which is the usual thing. But the usual, distance, like the modulus of minus 1, basically the distance of minus 1 from the origin. In this case, the modulus of minus 1 is basically 1 as a unit distance there, which is 1. So, but in this case of z, we're talking about z there. I think you can see that there's a right angle triangle generated in that form. So which means to get this distance, we must use Pythagoras. Then we're going to say the modulus of z is basically going to be the square root of x squared plus y squared. Remember, the horizontal here is x and the vertical other side is y. So that is what we call the modulus of a complex number. The other thing which is also important is that the complex number, as it's represented using this arrow, basically adopts the form of what we call a vector, and that vector forms an angle with the positive x-axis there, which we call theta. And that angle also has got a name. That name is going to be called the argument of z. So when I say argument of z, I'm talking about the angle formed by the vector representing the complex number with the positive axis, and that is obtained by saying arctan, which is tan, second function of y over z. We're going to use this in our course you shall see. I think I'll stop there for a while, then we'll proceed with the other elements of this work. Thank you.